Hi, my name is coverkillernation, and I'm a big fat liar. I said I wasn't going to touch this album. I said that I was going to avoid it. However, here I am, and here we are. What really changed my mind was, upon reviewing this album idea and everything, and talking with a couple of individuals, including some co-workers, hi Michelle, I decided against my initial assessment of just letting this one pass by. Upon looking at the track listing, I felt that it was absolutely my duty to talk about this because I saw a lot of potential for this to be pretty damn awful. Now, if you're looking for the laughs, if you're looking for all of the anger, the rage, and that classic trademark coverkillernation insanity, Metal Goes Metal Volume 1 may be the better video for you, but we'll see. By the end of this, I may disagree with that assessment completely. However, what we're going to do here is a little different. I have some, I guess, timestamps, if you want to call them that, as to when I turned each track off, whenever it became a little too much. So basically, I posted the time in which I could no longer bear the track any longer. And what I'm going to do is that based around what I've heard and based around everything else, we're going to look at this on a song-by-song basis. So anyway, Fearless Records presents Punk Goes 90's, Volume 2. 8 years after the original, which I didn't get to review because this channel was not even, pregnant yet. It didn't even happen. So we're going to do this on a track-by-track basis, and we all know how I've felt about these albums in the past. This has almost become a trademark. I can't avoid this shit, and all of you guys will not allow me to avoid this shit, so let's go. The very first track we have is My Own Worst Enemy, which was originally done by the band Lit, and it's being handled on this album by Get Scared. Now, actually, I almost made it completely through this song. I had to stop it at about 1 minute, 59 seconds, 2 minutes if you want to round up. The song is roughly 3 minutes in length. This is a good effort. I have to say that Get Scared did a lot to stay very true to the Lit song, to the original. However, right whenever they get to that last chorus, they decide to impose a bit of a breakdown in there. They decide to really change things up a little bit instead of staying pure to the original composition. That was the moment in time in which I really needed to skedaddle from this track and move on, principally because that's not something that you need. It's not something that's required in your covers. If it's something that you decide to do in your own work, that's fine, Get Scared, but it's not something that you need to do in handling this track. It's something that actually really brought down the entire composition, and that's the reason why it wasn't done in the original. That and, breakdowns weren't exactly something that was necessary in every fucking song. So, all in all, I would say you get 2/3 of a point, 2/3 of a pass. Not bad. Is that going to be the best on this album? Well, let's wait and see. Interstate Love Song, which was originally done by Stone Temple Pilots, being done by Memphis Mayfire, now being talked about for the second time this week. There's a third one coming. 42 seconds was the timestamp for this one. No. Scott Weiland needs to deliver Memphis Mayfire some killer heroin, and I don't mean killer heroin as in it's so goddamn good that they're so high that they sound just like him. I mean killer heroin like dead. The vocals for this are awful. The composition sounded like it was trying to go places, but just no. This does not work at all. It destroys the intimacy and destroys the mood. 42 seconds was all the more I got. No, it's not the answer to life and all things as we know it. Thank you, Hitchhiker's Guide. This is the answer to how long I could last before I wanted to go find Memphis Mayfire and burn them in a fire. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stone Temple Pilots fans, if you see this on YouTube, don't click on it. And if you're not a fan of Stone Temple Pilots and you are a fan of Memphis Mayfire, well, you should be ashamed of yourself. Track number 3, Closer, originally done by the 9 Inch Nails, being performed by Asking Alexandria. 2 minutes, 8 seconds of a 6.5 minute long song. It's actually longer than I thought. I expected this to go south a lot sooner. However, the ambiance of the first verse, the initial the initial 2 verses and the first chorus were done very, very well. The atmosphere was well set up. The problem is that they took a song that is doing its best to be intimate, that's trying to be creepy, that's essentially trying to haunt a listener, and turned it into the one thing I talk about all the time, and that's heavy metal. That's not something this track actually needs. This is actually one that needs to maintain that haunting prose. This is not something that needs to dive into a breakdown. This is not something that needs unnecessary heaviness, because that's exactly what was implemented here by Asking Alexandria. And because of that, there's 2/4 of this song, or 2/4, Jesus Christ, 2/3 of this song that will remain unlistened forever, because I do not want to hear the remainder of the fuckery that occurred during the last 4 minutes of these sessions. The minute that I heard this was the minute that I decided that it was time for me to move on, principally because this was an unnecessary addition. This is something that Fearless Records and all of these bands for all of these covers are very guilty of on a near constant basis, so it shouldn't come as any surprise to me. However, I would think that a band such as Asking Alexandria that performs music that has a little bit of a tone to it, that actually, has something supplemented, would understand the bare bones idea of mood. But I was wrong, which means I'm wrong about them, which means I was right about them. If you can follow that logic, congratulations, you just earned your doctorate degree in bullshit. The Color Morale doing Everlong by the Foo Fighters. This one I stopped at a minute 54. I could have probably gone the full way with this song. I'll be perfectly honest with you. However, the one thing that I felt was really severed was the intimacy. The intimacy of this song by Dave Grohl and the Foo Fighters is one thing that makes this song a seminal favorite, not only to myself, but to just a ton of individuals from the 90s. You still hear the song on the radio to this day. It's still something that gets a lot of airplay. It's shown in a lot of movies during, very, very key moments. And I'm not talking tense moments like in an action movie. I'm talking moments that may potentially eventually lead to a romantic climax. And that's what really this song is all about. And that intimacy being removed is actually kind of a large problem, principally because that's what the song is all about. It has a very, very, intimate tone to it, and it's one thing that needs to really be supplemented by a band and really catered to by a band in order to really have the best opportunity of presenting the song in a great fashion. I felt that the Color Morale did their best. I felt that Color Morale was doing a pretty good job. However, the intimacy specifically on the vocal side was really something that severed it a bit. And that might be a little nitpicky, but aside from that, musically speaking, this song's not bad. So this is one that would probably get a pass if I was doing this on a pass or fail system. Chunk Note Captain Chunk doing All-Star by Smash Mouth. This was going well until 1:36 whenever I turned it off, whenever they decided to turn it into Smash Mouth Core. No, not everything needs to be core, Chunk Note Captain Chunk. More like suck. Yes, we fucking suck. That's the name of the goddamn band now, because this is something where you took a song that, lyrically and singing-wise, it's not easy because, you have some rapid-fire vocals to handle. However, musically, it's pretty simple. It's not something that requires all that much deviation. You decided to deviate, and this is the reason why the song doesn't sound that way in the original. Principally because it sounds dumb, it sounds stupid, you don't need to mosh during a Smash Mouth song. Period. Come Down by Bush being handled by Mayday Parade. This may surprise you, but I completed this song completely. That was redundant. There is a little bit of that intimacy ruin, and that's something that I'm really going to be stressing a lot, because a lot of the songs that they opted to do on this one really do require a certain level of high-level intimacy. They do require a certain mood, and it's something where if you destroy that vocally especially, but it can happen musically as well, it really destroys the overall composition, because the 90s were a very, very intimate / emotional time, and I don't mean emo, I'm talking, this is something where you really heard in the vocalist a lot of the outpouring, and it's something where that inner strife, that very grungy attitude still maintained itself, only in different ways. And really with Bush, it's one that makes sense, because originally they were labeled as part of the, alternative / grunge movement, even though they didn't have really all the seminal, look and the seminal traits to it. However, you could even say that maybe they have some post-grunge elements as well, if you really want to be nitpicky, but that's not why we're here. I felt that Mayday Parade handled this very, very well, and it was just something where they needed to maybe fine-tune the vocal lines just a little bit, but aside from that, I gotta give them a lot of praise for this. This was a very well-done cover. I did not expect this from Mayday Parade, so good job to you guys. Du Hast by Rammstein being handled by Motionless in White. Finished this one too. But this wasn't that much of a surprise to me. The minute that I saw this on the lineup, I figured that this was going to be one of two that actually had a great chance of being a really good track. And this was one that was delivered, actually. Now, do I feel as though I still need to apologize to the entire country of Germany because, Rammstein is a national treasure, and this is a song that really crossed them over to, this side of the country and made them into huge superstars across the pond in the States? Yeah, I do kind of feel as though I need to do that, because there are some moments here where Motionless and White take the, very direct and forceful delivery of Rammstein and try to transform it into a little bit more of a death metal side, and that's something that I don't really think is necessary for this song. However, as an overall composition and loyalty to the original, they do get a lot of bonus points for that, because they stayed very true to the original here. It's kind of like whenever, what song was it that they did? Stripped. Rammstein did a cover of Stripped by the Depeche Mode, and it was a very, very, very good cover. It was one where they were able to kind of take it into their own element. They were able to add their own side to it, and they performed it exceptionally. And now they actually get the opposite treatment done to them, only instead of it being by Depeche Mode, it's being done by Motionless in White. So this one gets a pass. Today, by the Smashing Pumpkins, being handled by Yellowcard. This one was also completed. And this is the other song that I actually expected it to work, and it really did. Now, there are going to be a lot of Smashing Pumpkins fans that are going to feel that Yellowcard does not have the same vocal ability as Billy Corgan. That really, there's going to be a lot of that emotion that's kind of stripped, a lot of the ironic emotion that this song really projects, and maybe they'll be very nitpicky about things like that, but I thought this was handled pretty decently, and I even said this previously, before I was even going to do the album, whenever my coworker was reading me the track listing. She was kind of upset about that one, and I said I actually expect that one to kind of work, and it actually did. I was surprised that I was right on that one, because I figured the one that I expect to work is going to be the one that's going to be fucked up the most. However, that's not the point at all. That's not the result at all. Torn by Hands Like Houses, which was originally done by Edna Swap, but was famously covered by Natalie Imbruglia in the 1990s. This one I made to 136. This is musically okay, but the vocals and the overall style of this don't work nice, or just as nice and neatly as it did on the Imbruglia version or the original version. Both of these have a lot of great feeling to them, and there's a lot of things that where the music kind of cascades around the vocals, which kind of adds to the mood and adds to the dynamisty, and this is one where it doesn't exactly have that feel. Natalie took this song and made it her own, not to mention the composition, as far as the music was concerned, made this feel like it was an original, like she had wrote this song. In fact, I'm sure a lot of people thought that she did and didn't realize this was an Edna Swap song from previously. But that's the thing, she was able to take this cover and make it into her own. Hands Like Houses version sounds like it's a cover because it is a cover, and it basically retains that idea and that feel that this is a band covering another song, because it doesn't have that individualistic feel to it. It's something where it just feels like, okay, this is the song that we've been assigned, or the one that we decided to do. Okay, let's cover it, let's do it. It was kind of a lackadaisical attitude, and they didn't really take it and make it into their own, such as with the Motionless in White, or the Mayday Parade version of Come Down, or even the Yellowcard version of Today. The Ghost Inside doing Southtown by P.O.D. This one I made to about 3 minutes in, and really I probably could have finished this one too. This isn't a hard song either. In fact, the first 40 seconds or so is just an introduction. P.O.D. scored a big hit with Southtown. This is one that was really big on the box, if you guys remember what that was, if you live in America, where you could dial in with your touch-tone telephone, and you could get the music video of your choice played on the rotation for a small fee that your parents will likely never recognize on their credit card. And because of that, this song became pretty big. It crossed over into radio, and I felt that the Ghost Inside did a good job with this. It's not something that was really outside of their style all of that much. In fact, it really catered to them. You have a little bit of a harsh tone that's really trying to speak the lyrical story that's going on here about the Southtown, about the roughness of the community and everything like that. And really that harsh vocal tone that they're able to employ, which is above and beyond that which what POD's was, which almost had a little bit of like a rap rock approach to it. There was a little bit of a hip-hop cadence to it. This harsher tone that the Ghost Inside employs actually works kind of nice with it. And really, I think the only reason why I stopped it short was because there was a part right near the end that it was a little bit wavery, but I actually went back and listened to the remainder, and it all flows pretty nicely. So I think I'd actually label this one as done. Falling in Reverse, Gangsta's Paradise, featuring LV, originally done by Coolio. 12 seconds. 12 seconds. This is the reason why white people rapping is not taken very seriously, unless you're Eminem, unless you are somebody who actually has some proficiency to it. This sounds like a whiny high schooler trying to rap their favorite song and trying to do so in a voice that, makes all the little girls then in their class giggle because, oh, he's making fun of it and he's using a funny voice. I might suck his teeny weeny later. Yeah, this is not something that needs to be on an album. This is not something that needs to actually make it past the final cut. If I were Coolio, this is if I were Coolio. First off, I'd have badass hair. Secondly, I would have a gun. Thirdly, falling in reverse would no longer exist because drive-by, drive-by, drive-by. I would do everything in my power to resurrect Tupac, the Notorious P.I.G., Proof, and a couple of other individuals that have been either gunned down or drove by, shot, and I would easily replace them in death with falling in reverse. Maybe that's what they want. Maybe that's what they're hoping for. If so, someone please take care of this. Finally, Good Riddance, Time of Your Life, originally done by Green Day by Ice 9 Kills. I need to preface this by giving you a bit of a disclaimer. I enjoy Green Day. Green Day is not a bad band, especially some of their 90s material. I actually reviewed a Green Day album as part of a Rock City a couple of years ago. I reviewed Uno and felt that it was very well done. American Idiot is actually a fantastic album. The follow-up wasn't that great, but they do have great material. However, Good Riddance, Time of Your Life was one of the most irritating songs in the world whenever it was released. This was a song that was used for everything. It was used for weddings, it was used for funerals, for births, for graduations, for bar mitzvahs, for fucking first holy communions, for, people who just were leaving a job, that came into a job, that got promoted at a job. Literally, the application of this song could have been used anywhere, which makes Green Day subtle geniuses for writing a hit that had such a wide breadth and wide diversity of places where it could be implemented and used in order to describe the situation. However, with that said, it was overplayed to no end. This is one of those songs where you hear that irritating song that it's overplayed for about a month or two and then it's over. We'll try about 6 to 7 goddamn years. This was something that was used so fucking often that, people who are about 10 years younger than me are talking about people using that as their graduation song, even though it's been 10 years. Now, I understand that classic rock tracks still are used, like Don't Stop Believin' by Journey and stuff like that, but this is Green Day's Time of Your Life. This is the most cliched example of what you can do for any sort of situation that really shows a lacking, mind you, of imagination, considering it's been done so many times before. You would really want something that would personalize your experience, rather than just using a song that happens to be perfect for the situation, but has been used probably 7.4 billion times before. If Green Day collected royalties for every time this song was used for a special event like this, they wouldn't be millionaire rich, they would be Bill Gates rich. They would be the types of individuals that literally could buy continents. However, they didn't do that, they can't do that, and for that we're probably all thankful. And for them, they're probably happy to be writing the material that they are now, and working on all of that, all things considered. That said, the Ice 9 Kills version, This is something where you take an irritating song, or at least a song that I felt to be irritating, and you make it irritating by having somebody cover it. I'm not saying that this is necessarily a terrible cover. However, this is one where I feel that if I wanted to listen to the song, I would just listen to the original, even though it irritates me. That's all the more that there is to it. I don't need to listen to somebody cover the irritating song. I'll just listen to the irritating song. That's all the more that needs to happen. So for Ice 9 Kills, I only made it 34 seconds in, but that's principally because immediately what I thought was, if I really want to listen to this, I'll just listen to Green Day. Fuck your cover. Fuck anybody's cover. This isn't something that's all that necessary. This isn't something that needs to happen. We don't need 30,000 bands now to listen to this song, perhaps for the first time. All these 15-year-olds that perhaps never heard of Time of Your Life because it was a song that was out whenever they were still just a sperm in their father's penis. Now all of a sudden you hear the song and want to cover it. That's not something that we need. I hope that's not something that this spurns, but it's something it potentially could. That's just a forewarning to everybody out there. There you have it. Punk Goes 90's Volume 2, done in a different way. This is not something where I decided to flip out because, well, in some respects, this album was handled pretty well. This is one where I think they matched and paired things up a little bit better, and for that, I'm actually thankful. I didn't have to flip shit and go totally bananas on this album review, and in fact, if I would have decided to pass this one by and, listen to it later, I probably would have felt kind of guilty for not continuing on with the series, for one, and for not actually giving the opportunity to praise a couple of the bands that did do a good job. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you guys next time.